What's up, everybody? Today we're gonna go over how to make a infused honey. Now, I am by no means much of an herbalist. Very small amount of knowledge regarding herbs and plants and such. But honey infusion, or any kind of infusion, is a fairly simple thing that pretty much anyone can do. All you need, obviously, is some honey or vinegar, whatever your base is, your infusing oil. Various oils also work. And then some kind of herb or spice that we are going to be extracting the nutrients and benefits from. And that's essentially what an infusion is we combine kind of a more solid with a wet base, and the honey, vinegar, oil, whatever, extracts all of the potent nutrients and powerful aspects of whatever plant we're extracting from, infusing with, and takes on the flavor as well. So we end up with very flavorful honey, whatever we're doing again. And it's just a very simple process. So we're going to go over it here, making a garlic infused honey for a friend. And so let's switch the camera around here. So you see here, we've got our clove of garlic. I'm just going to do this is going to be a smaller batch, so we're just using a really small repurposed jam jar. But any kind of jar with a nice fit seal is going to be fine. Let's see if I can open this up. Can't do it with one hand. But any kind of jar that has this nice wax seal on it on the top, and glass jars are I would recommend to be the best. And then we have here some nice raw unfiltered honey. For a honey infusion, I definitely recommend using a raw honey and not a processed honey. So you want to make sure it says raw on it. Unfiltered is just like a bonus word, basically. And that's how simple we're going to keep it. Now I'm going to tear up this garlic clove, and then we'll get back to this. Alright, so this person really likes garlic, so they told me to use about a half of one piece of garlic. So I broke off several different pieces, cloves. So it's going to be pretty garlicky. So depending on how strong you want your infusion, you can use more or less herbs, spices, and such. Typically, they usually say to fill up a jar about a quarter of the way, especially if you're using like dried herbs. But again, for this, we're going to go probably a little bit more than quarter. It might be about quarter, maybe more closer to a third. We'll see how it is, but basically, again, it's just going to make it for a more flavorful and more potent infusion the more we use. So now I'm going to chop this stuff up. Okay then, so we have all the garlic nice and chopped up now. So you can see, more or less. And so simply is, we're just going to put it in our jar. And just basically fill up the bottom with it. Jar right there. Garlic is nice and sticky once we chop it up. And basically chopping it up in little pieces is going to help it break down in the honey. It's going to help everything kind of release and infuse into the honey. So the smaller we chop it up, probably the better. Now let me get half of it off of my fingers, where it is deciding to stick. very sticky garlic. We got the majority of it in the jar. That is the goal. Okay, so as simple as that. We have the garlic in the jar. Goal achieved. And so the next step is going to be as simple as, let me see about actually removing this label. There we are, voila. So we see we have the garlic in the bottom here. So that's essentially what you want to do, is you want to fill up the bottom, like I said, probably like the bottom quarter of the jar, whatever size you're using. You can fill that up with your herbs, dried fruit, spices. I've read that even some people do nuts. So whatever you're infusing, you just want to essentially put that in the bottom of the jar. I'm going to rinse my hands really quick, get the sticky garlic off. Having clean hands is also very ideal for this. As with any culinary or herbalism project, for that matter. Alright, so now I'll make the rest of this go a little bit smoother without sticky fingers. Okay, and as simple as that, now we are going to add our raw honey. And we're going to fill it up to around the bottom of the, where the screw top goes. We want to leave a little bit of room for the plant matter to break down, for any gases to have a little bit of air, to kind of breathe, so to speak. We're going to keep on dripping, dripping, dripping. Here we are. So again, we want to leave a good inch or so of space. And we are going to stir this wonderful concoction. So we want to make sure all of the garlic is properly coated. And maybe even get it to come up a little bit, just be throughout the entire jar, rather than sitting at the bottom. But it's going to infuse the honey regardless, whether it's at the bottom or not. Especially a powerful plant like garlic. That flavor and that nutrients, that energy is going to get all in there. But stirring it up will just help to ensure the infusion is as strong and best as possible. There we are. Nicely stirred up. So you can see the chunks are all in there now. I probably should have left this upside down. So I'm going to end up using most of what's left in here. We're going to go ahead and fill up a little bit more. Because usually after we stir it, you notice the level will go down a little bit. We're going to practice some patience here as we wait for the honey to... Okay, so we finished topping off this beautiful infusion. wipe our rim a little bit. And it's as simple from that point as closing the jar fairly tightly. And voila, we have created an infused honey. Yes, it's that simple, kitty. Now the trick with the infusions though is that it is not actually finished. We are going to let this sit, especially they say with herbs, to let the infusion sit for a month, a moon cycle, around 30 days. And that's going to maximize the potency and the flavor and the energy of the infusion. But I've also read with like dried fruits, it can be done in as little as 2 weeks. So with that, it really just depends on how flavorful you want it. If you want it to be stronger, you can let it go longer than 2 weeks. I'm sure probably after 2 weeks, this is going to be pretty strong, but at the same time, we can keep letting it go. And then from this point forward, it is good. Honey is a natural, it keeps things basically preserved. It's a natural preservative because of its sugar content and its other qualities. So this is now good to go for, I'm not really sure what the shelf life of these are. I can't say for certain. We've done one of these before and it kept good for like 6 months, maybe even a year. It took us that long to use it all. And using dried herbs is you're definitely going to have less of a problem of spoilage. With other kinds of herbs and stuff, you're typically going to want to strain that out of the honey after the month period. So dried fruit, herbs, things solid enough that you can get them out, you're going to want to strain it out. You can use cheesecloth for this, or if it's something solid enough, you can possibly use just a fork, whatever you have lying around. But there we go. Very nice, simple process. And now we've got a wonderful herbal garlic infused honey. It's going to be ready to cook with, to eat, to do whatever we want with in around 30 days. Hope you all enjoyed this and get out there and start making your own infusions.